This was a bizarre episode of Superman and Lois, to say the least, if you don't mind me saying. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the World's Finest, a sub show of the Vigilante 1939 podcast. What do we do here on World's Finest? Myself and Chris Evans from the Gathering of the Geeks podcast break down Superman and Lois season 2 each and every week. Joining me, without further ado, is the steel to my Superman, Chris Evans. Chris, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing super as always. How are you doing?
You you get me every time when you make me proud, Chris. You make me proud every time. Every
I,
time.
I do what I can. I've learned a
Absolutely.
lot, so I do what I can.
Absolutely. So Chris, we're both taking a little bit of a break here from our the Batman frenzy over here with our spending here. We watch his compadre, Superman here, Superman and Lois, and we're gonna talk some Superman. We're gonna talk some Superman.
Yeah, it's a good break in between the Batman frenzy that we're both in.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, of course, we're breaking down Superman and Lois each and every week. And before we get into the nitty gritty, and we got some fun stuff to discuss here. Chris, what did you think of this week's episode overall?
I've watched it twice now, and I am over the moon with this episode. I think it's one of the best Superman and Lois episodes that we've had. Um, it's got a little bit of everything. It's got a great balance, and I know we're going to get to it, but that reveal at the end was beautiful.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I think balanced is definitely the right word to use for this week's episode because, a lot of drama happened in this week, but it
Mhm.
was consistent drama. I would say it was probably drama that's going to move the story forward. I think for a lot of things, like obviously you have your typical teenage drama, which is the whole CW ness of it all. You got some new things that developing new things that's going on with Clark.
Mhm.
Got some new stuff for Lois to have, which is great. She shouldn't just be Superman's wife. That's great that she has her own little subplot
Yeah, I like when
going
she
on.
doesn't when she has that.
Yeah. And then you got, this new thing that's going on with Superman himself. You got Steel factoring into the equation. And then you get this misdirect, which is probably the correct word to use whatever we're going to talk about. And we're going to save that for just a little bit here. But man, I think it was a pleasant one, but it certainly caught me off guard. So
It was bizarrely pleasant.
bizarrely, oh, Chris, you're doing great here. You're doing great here. So obviously, Chris, let's talk about the drama here. We
Mhm.
got Clark's having these visions here and these outbursts, which were very, very terrifying in certain scenes. Lois is looking for Lucy, her sister. Lana's running for mayor, and Sarah and Jordan officially reconcile. Maybe. So let's break that down kind of in parts here. So, Chris, let's talk about our guy Hecklin here because I think we were talking a little bit off air here, and he gave a pretty good performance this week. He goes from cool dad, then he goes from angry dad. Then you got his version of Superman that's struggling.
Mhm.
So what'd you think of Clark this week, Chris?
I think Hecklin continues to show that he has a great grasp on this character. I really enjoy him every week, whether he's in the suit or not. He just does a great job. And this is one of those episodes that demanded a little bit more from him because, like you said, he goes back and forth so much in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We get the good dad, we get Superman, we get whatever that is when he's mad. Jordan called him a rageaholic, which I think is kind of funny. Um, and Hecklin just kills it. He's really entertaining throughout. And this particular storyline with him having these, I want to say like Kryptonian panic attacks. I don't know if that's accurate to say,
Mm-hmm.
but when he has these visions and whatnot, the way he breaks down is very interesting. I've been enjoying that, but also the way they let him kind of let out that anger and the outburst that he had in this episode was really impressive because I didn't think they'd do that with him because I feel like they try to keep him on a certain line, I guess. Like
Mm-hmm.
this Clark has to be a certain way. And that doesn't mean that he can't be darker, but we just don't see him go this dark. So I like seeing that. It was different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris, I'm definitely in agreement with you on that one. As somebody that watched Clark go through this many times in Smallville.
Mhm.
Granted it was different. You get the Man of Steel early flashbacks of Clark as a kid when he went through those. panic attacks is too. This one's a little bit different because he's a full on adult
Right.
Superman. He's a dad, he's a father. He's been Superman for what was it, like 20 years,
I think it's
15,
like
20
20,
years.
something like that.
So I agree with you. It's a darker approach to the character. It's something that we have not seen before. And not to sign Hopper, hyperbolic here, but no, wrong show. Uh,
Hyperbolic.
but yeah, right. Crossover, make it happen.
Uh-oh.
But he Hecklin really continues to impress me, and I know we say that each and every week, but Chris, I completely echo you with that one. He continues to grow as Superman. He continues to add new elements to the
Mhm.
character. I like that he continues to make it his own. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this one is even when he has the outburst, like as a viewer, I don't think you're scared of him. You're
Mm-hmm.
more concerned for him. Like what's going on with Clark?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that speaks volumes for the way that Hecklin portrays Clark most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also like that it's when you get the scenes of like he just knows what to do, like he knows how to react, like when he knows he's about to laser probably the whole room, he kind of tells Jonathan or Jordan to get out of the room, or he goes flies over
Mhm.
somewhere where he can't harm anybody else. I think that's the kind of parts that I dig too. That it's still an experienced Superman that's kind of going through that stuff.
That's a big deal too. I like seeing this seasoned vet Superman. Also,
Hmm.
I didn't know it was possible for him to burn his own hands with the heat vision. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't see that coming.
yeah. Because it stayed too. Like he didn't like heal right away. That was pretty intense. Yeah.
Even when he got back home, it was still. I mean, it was healed a little bit, but it was still
Right.
kind of messed up. So it was cool to
Yeah.
see that because you don't really see him with any kind of bodily damage.
Hmm.
So that,
Yeah.
that was I just love seeing him get the crap kicked out of him. So that was cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's where there's Superman, let's talk about Lois here, Chris. And I had mentioned off the top that they're giving Lois something more to do
Mhm.
a little bit here, where now Lois is looking for her sister Lucy, who was having who had they kind of have a darker past, and they kind of touch on a little bit here in this week's episode. Obviously, General Lane makes his return too, to try to convince Lois to reconcile with his sister, and hopefully the Lanes are going to band together here and uh, save Lucy. I guess Lucy needs to be saved. So, Chris, I think it was confirmed that Lucy Lane is coming to Superman and Lois. I would assume
Mhm.
she's arriving in the next few episodes or so. So what do you think of Lois's storyline here?
So I didn't really like it in the first two episodes because I don't understand the importance of the Smallville Gazette. I just don't. It's Smallville. It's a tiny newspaper where it's just her, and I forget the other actress's character. Um,
Mindy,
is it
Misty?
Mindy? Missy?
Yeah, I think one of the two. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just didn't buy it because I don't understand what the like. It's a small town newspaper. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a global thing. It's not the New York Times.
All right.
But this episode doesn't really talk about that, and instead focuses on the podcast itself, and how it affects the Lane family, and
Mm-hmm.
that worked for me much better than it's affecting the newspaper. I don't care about the newspaper. I care about Lois and her family.
Mm-hmm.
So this switch was really nice to see. And I thought the twist at the end where it wasn't Lucy who sits down with her, it was
Yep.
instead this villainous character. That was cool. Didn't see that coming. I was expecting to see Lucy because we know she is coming.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the casting notice. She's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a nice twist. And I just think this storyline is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you too on that one, Chris. I can't really put my finger on it too much and why I'm kind of into it. I think maybe because of Tolik, who probably
Yeah,
is
probably.
just selling it. But obviously, the idea of a cult leader that's trapping the mind of somebody or that's manipulating somebody's mind, something like that is probably something that we've seen before. But I agree with you too. I like that Tolik has something more to do than just be the stay at home mom or to be Superman's guiding light. I like that she has something to do for herself. And I haven't seen too much of Lucy from Supergirl. I know it's the actor and actress from Supergirl, but I'm excited to see her come in the fold. I mean, more off-world characters I think is what we need. I love interconnectivity. I want to see who else's could pop up because we don't know if Kara could come, and I would assume she could if it's gonna be the same Lucy from that world. But Bring it on. I like it. I like it.
It may be the same actress, but we don't know if it's the same Lucy.
Right. Yes, that is a great point. That
That
is a
might
great.
also be me just speculating too much.
Mm-hmm.
It probably is.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. So obviously, let's move on to the second family of Smallville, Chris, because as I guess we're gonna call them here, which are the Cushings. So on one side of the Cushing family, we got Lana, who's running for mayor, who's looking to be, I guess, the first female mayor of Smallville, according to Kyle. And then we got some teenage drama, which we're gonna touch on a little bit after that, because that's probably a little bit more of a deeper discussion, but
A little bit.
a little bit, a little bit. So Chris, giving Lana Cushing something to do, yay or nay?
Yay in this episode. Because
Nice.
in this episode, it just felt like there was a better balance of everybody. And I wasn't just watching the Cushings waiting for something else to happen. I was much more dialed in on her mayor campaign, and the way the people of Smallville treat her. Because, I mean, Chuck had some valid questions. I think he might not went around it the correct way, but he had some valid questions.
Mm. Yeah, no, Chris, that was one of the rare like instances where I'm like, dude's probably a dick, but he's got a lot of great points.
I mean, you overlooked one thing, you overlooked another thing. Why should we
Yeah,
trust you?
I'm like, you're going about it the wrong way, but you're actually right.
Right, you're not the best person in Smallville, but we get
Yeah,
your points.
yeah. So obviously, of course, it's probably just a way to give the redemption arc for the Cushings, at least for
Yeah.
Lana. I think it's a bold, great choice for Lana,
Hmm.
especially when you look at the character of Lana Lang herself. I think it's a cool choice for sure. I mean, you got to give them something to do. They're main characters of the show. They can't just
But
be walking around town, you know.
but do they need to be main characters of the show?
Well, we seem to address that every week, Chris, and they seem to give them something more important to do each and every week.
Yeah, this week I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it this week, so I'm not gonna
Yeah,
complain. I'm cool.
yeah. So I'm sure that's going to play a larger purpose later on in the show, especially if she does get elected
Yeah.
mayor. We'll see. But on the flip side of that, the other part of the Cushing drama is uh, teenage drama is had a bit of a frenzy this week. But Chris, we widely touched on something last week because we didn't want to overkill something. We didn't want to overanalyze
Hmm.
a situation a little bit. When Sarah had said she kissed a girl, we thought, for representation purposes, we thought that was great. We hope they expanded upon it. This week, they kind of flipped the script a little bit here, and they kind of dialed back a little bit. I'm a little bit confused, but essentially what happened is, Sarah and Jordan, I guess, reconciled as a couple here, and now it kind of remains to be seen whether or not they're going to touch on Sarah's storyline that they started, or if this was just, a bump in the road, I guess, for them. I don't know. What do you think, Chris? How did you feel about that?
I'm confused. I am confused because I assumed it was going to be a bigger deal when it was mentioned last week.
Mm,
I assumed we were in for like a whole storyline, maybe half a season kind of thing, but it quickly became like a 20-minute situation. I mean, it's literally it's 24 hours because I believe this episode takes place the very next day from last week's.
mm-hmm,
So it's literally like 24 hours.
mm,
And I'm not really sure why they even did that. Like, what was the purpose? You know,
mm-hmm,
I didn't mind it. I think it was okay to do some kind of like drama for the relationship. But at the same time, like I said before, you didn't let us care enough about them for this to matter that much.
mm-hmm.
And I think Sarah's best stuff in the episode is not even with Jordan, it's the
Huh?
stuff with her mother. Those were good scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris, I'm so you know a little bit how I feel too. I thought it was great for representation purposes that they did that. I wanted them to expand upon it. I didn't want them to just kind of, reconcile the situation in an episode. I guess, like you said, within a day or two, or I guess in their case, a week or two. I don't know how long that time flew between that moment and time in the show, but yeah, the worst thing for me was that they were gonna like bring it up and then quickly dial back on it. And I think that's very wrong to do because
Mhm.
you open something and then you're kind of secluding it. You're secluding the audience that you did it for within a week. And I think that's wrong. I'd rather it had been where let her be confused for a few episodes, and
Yeah,
and granted, it's still very early. I know we're only in episode 3. Maybe they'll circle back on, and maybe they'll still say, well, she's still confused. But I think to really have it so serious where it's like, okay, they're back together and things like that, because it really does feel like they're just gonna be Sarah and Jordan again.
it's a non-issue. They made it like a non-issue when I think
Yeah,
it was an issue, especially, I guess they tried to say, well, Justin's secret is bigger, or Justin, Jordan's secret is bigger.
yeah,
That's the implication I got. Like, okay, well, this matters more, but okay, maybe it does. It still doesn't change the fact of what happened. We
hmm
should have explored that a little bit more and let them explore it to let the characters grow a bit. I
hmm
think.
yeah, yeah. I completely agree with you. So, like I said, only episode 3, so we'll see if they continue to touch on that or maybe evolve that situation a little bit more, or if it kind of just was a one episode thing and done. Hopefully not, because I think that's very very bad if
It's
it
weird.
is. But
It's
yeah,
very weird.
very weird, especially for
like
sure.
I don't know about you, but if she kissed a guy at the camp, I could see them just kind of going like glossing over it.
Right? Yeah.
But it's like we want to know more about that. Why did that? What's going on with her? Does she
hmm
know what's going on with her?
Right. Yeah. And especially because they're teenagers. Like it's teenagers are all about discovering who you are.
Right.
If you have the characters on the show, why not delve into that? I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You planted the seed. Let's see it.
Yeah. So remains to be seen, of course. But obviously the other thing going on here was the stuff going on with Jonathan, Chris. And you made a very, very valid point that we found out that enhancements are being tossed around Smallville here, particularly for the football team, I guess. So Chris, you made a very valid point too that what's also being thrown around Smallville is X Kryptonite, clearly,
Hmm.
because that's not gone whatsoever.
Yeah, I thought it
So
was.
so did I. We seem to be finding more and more of it. So, Chris, do you think that these storylines are gonna kind of interconnect a little bit? What do you think?
I do. I don't know how they're going to, but they will. And it's cool that they are. I think because it makes the Kryptonite situation a bigger deal, and it makes Smallville, I think, a bigger deal in general. Also,
Mm-hmm.
seeing more of the football team helps too. Even if we only see this one character, it just
Mm-hmm.
helps to expand this little town, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, it's kind of funny that they're all getting high on crystal on this kryptonite crystal stuff. It's kind of funny to me.
Yeah, man, Chris, I gotta tell you, it still blows my mind that these are freshmen and sophomores that we're supposed to
Right?
believe.
Like I've been watching a lot of Euphoria where they're doing drugs and stuff.
Yeah,
Then I watch these guys going nuts on kryptonite.
yeah, but but I mean, at least like with a four, there's like they're like what juniors and seniors, and I'm like,
They're like 17 or 18. Yeah,
yeah, I
these are
mean,
15-year-olds.
yeah, these are like supposed to be 15-year-olds. Like, I'm like, okay, like I can ride with it, I guess. Just different era, different time. Like, all right,
I
but I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's a little bit dark. The dark thing to be portraying for 15-year-olds.
It is, and even if you remember the fake Bane, I think it was an episode, the premiere. He
Mm-hmm.
was sniffing the fake kryptonite too, or not the fake,
Yeah,
but the kryptonite gas too. He was doing it,
yeah,
so it's just like a thing now.
yeah, yeah. So obviously, we'll see if that connects, but that's definitely a great point that you made, Chris. Too, is that all this stuff is around Smallville, so
Mhm.
I would assume somebody's going to try to replicate that into some kind of enhancement.
There's even
Uh,
dealers.
yeah, yeah. Now there's dealers. Like, okay,
Like, whoa, how did we go from 0 to 60 here?
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, of course, and the thing of all, it was Jonathan's girlfriend that was the dealer too. I'm
Of
like,
course,
of course, of course, of course.
Candace. I knew it
Yeah,
was you. I keep thinking
straight
this
to
is
the
a different
actress. That's why
actress. It is a different actress?
it is a different actress. Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to Google it rather than I forgot about it, but I thought it was a
I think it
different
is a
actor.
different actress. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
It's a different actress. That's all. There you go.
that's what it is. It's her evil twin. Her, that's bizarre.
Which, all right, Chris, you made a bizarre transition, so now we're gonna go full on
Uh oh.
bizarre.
Are you going to
Oh,
start talking in reverse?
there you go. We absolutely are going talk to reverse in is what. Massive fail, but
Me, you got it right now.
yeah, you all get what I'm going here. Okay, so
Talk about it. We will.
amazing. Chris, we got misdirected. We got WandaVision. We got Falcon Winter Soldier. We got Loki. You name it. You name it. We got misdirected here.
They
All
lied.
the and like yeah. All the wide speculation here, Chris, that Doomsday is coming to Superman and Lois, and talk about that a little bit later because maybe. But the big reveal of this mystery person in the cave, Chris, ended up being a version of Bizarro. So, Chris, what did you think? Bizarro is here in Superman and Lois. What did you think?
I loved it. I thought that was such a cool reveal, and the way they did it. It's like all the interviews. Doomsday is coming, and the writers even specifically said we tease him in episode 1. You see him a little bit in episode 2. Episode 3 is the big reveal. They said this out of their own whatever they decided to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like No Way Home level of lying in a way, because it is not Doomsday. It is a badass version of Bizarro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chris certainly caught me off guard for sure. You know what I mean? It was like all signs really did point to Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
Like
They did the costume.
there's no other way to look at it. Like the origin was similar, where Doomsday wrecks all the people in the cave. Like that, I'm pretty sure that's a classic. That's a classic from the story of when Doomsday shows up. So they literally like they did all the things to point to Doomsday, and then he comes out of the cave, and then you're like, Doomsday probably should be bigger. Like I will say,
Yeah.
maybe okay, so maybe this really isn't Doomsday because they make it super ambiguous for a reason, and they always do that thing where we don't want you to know who it is, but we'll make you think you know who it is. And then the person comes out, and you kind of see his face a little bit, and it's still a little bit vague. And then you really find out that it's another version of Hecklin who looks an awful lot like Bizarro.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously for me, I think that that's pretty cool. I actually like that it is Bizarro and not Doomsday, just because I feel like we've been down the Doomsday road so many times, and I think there's so many different new things that you could do with Bizarro that I think is going to be a fresh thing for the show. Like, like a lot of people's complaints in season 1 was that, Morgan Edge felt an awful lot like Zod, even though he was Zod in name, I guess. And then you did a version of the Eradicator, which was not really an accurate version of the Eradicator. So I think to really give fans like a full-on Rogues Gallery villain, I think is cool. Because I assume he's going to be Bizarro in the show.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, and they made some comments too. I forgot. Well, a comment. It was toward the end. Someone said it's a bizarre thing. Like they were playing with the dialogue.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh, Lois like, oh, this is so bizarre that's happening. Oh, Doomsday is coming. Or
Yeah, you'll be my
know?
Doomsday, and then
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool the way that they had this under wraps. So when he came out of the mine, you're right. I was thinking he should be bigger, and I was also thinking, where are the spikes?
Right.
Like,
I'm like,
are
don't go
spikes
BVS with it. Please don't go BVS.
That's what I was worried. Like, man, is he just gonna look like a Ninja Turtle and Freddy Krueger had a love child? And then like I was waiting for the spikes to pop out, but instead we got something better, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And even like that fight was really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
It was brief, but it was cool to see them just beat the crap out of each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And man, I don't know if you feel like this too, Chris, but I mean, like, you really look at season 1 and season 2, like Superman, and man, he's really been like through the ringer with this thing. Like, I don't really think we've ever seen a fully powered Superman until maybe the first few episodes of the show. Except for maybe things that weren't flashbacks too, I think,
No, I think he's been fully powered. Just that he's been up against people who have been as power. He's been fighting Kryptonians. Like we haven't really seen him fight someone who's not entirely Kryptonian. Except there was one episode in season 1. I forgot who it was though.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Was it Toymaker or something?
Yeah, like with the radiation gun.
Yeah, he's the only guy that was not Kryptonian, and he made quick work of him. It didn't take him long, but everybody else has been Kryptonian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, like in a sense too, like he really feels like we're getting a weaker version of, and not weaker like weak, but like he's weaker, like something's going on with him. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I get you.
Yeah. So interesting for sure. And obviously you look at the previews and stills from the next episode. a distorted. What did you say, Chris? Like a distorted cape or like a
Uh, tattered. It looks tattered.
tattered, yeah, a
Looks
tattered version
destroyed.
of a red cable look, which looks cool.
Yeah, I
So
like the look we get at it.
yeah, I'm eager to see like how they're gonna play off each other too, because I think that's cool. Like we got a version of Bizarro in Smallville, but they did that thing where you can't have two of the same person in the same scene for too long, because then it kind of looks jarring a little bit.
Yeah,
So I'm eager to see how they play off each other, Chris.
I am too, and I wonder if because right now the first line of dialogue or the only line of dialogue we hear from him is spoken backward.
Mm,
So I wonder if that's going to be a thing whenever he speaks, or if he's going to start to speak, more traditionally. I'm
yeah.
curious about that part of it and what he wants,
Mm,
because
yeah.
someone reversed the dialogue and he says, "Leave me alone."
Mm,
So I wonder what is he looking for here.
yeah. And I guess, Chris, we also know that somebody clearly was looking for him or
Yeah,
wanted him to come out because we obviously got that vague scene of a lady calling somebody on a phone and we still don't know who that was, so clearly this is all part of some larger plan that's going on that if it was Doomsday it was going to be something else entirely regardless, but now that it is Bizarro, clearly somebody wanted this to happen, and that's another whole mystery for itself.
I'm almost wondering if it's the way to get Lex on the show and put him in the kryptonite suit.
Yeah, that's probably a
I'm,
good
I'm
point.
wondering if that could be what they're doing. Maybe that's just wishful thinking that I'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just want to see Lex on the show, but I don't know. It's
Yeah,
very cool though.
for
I love
sure.
that last look at him before the credits when you see him walking into the fortress and his eyes are glowing and you see the
Mm-hmm.
cape just kind of flowing behind him. It's all destroyed. It's very very cool imagery.
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah. And then Chris, obviously the last thing that I wanted to get your thoughts on, wanted to ask you is, you know, could there be Doomsday this season? Like I was talking a little bit off air. I still think there's a shot that maybe they're just building up towards him. But
Mhm.
I know to do him now, I guess that'd be a lot to throw in a season. But do you think that Bizarro can turn into another form of Doomsday, or do you think that they're gonna build up to Doomsday somehow later in the season? What do you think, Chris?
I think it's possible you still get Doomsday, but or that he's in a form of Doomsday, like Doomsday Light right now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Yeah.
don't I don't see that as being likely because I think they're planting the seeds for a big showdown with Bizarro, and then something with Morgan Edge to redeem himself. I know you and I have kind of talked about that before, but I think that's what they're setting up here. Something to do with Bizarro, and then Morgan Edge. Now, also though, it could be cool if Doomsday has followed Bizarro. That could be a way to bring him too. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I don't really see Doomsday coming anymore. I think the writers had their fun, and they did say they were going to do a twist. They did their twist, and I think we just got Bizarro for the rest of the season. He's the main villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with you on that one. So, do I want to see Doomsday, this season? I'm gonna say no, just because I feel like we've seen him so many times, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I said that, even if they were doing Doomsday, I still would have given it an open mind. But I think this is one of those misdirects where I'm actually glad that they're going this route instead of that route. So I think I think there's new things you can explore now
I'm
with what
actually
they're doing.
relieved.
Yeah. So
I'm relieved that it's not Doomsday
I
myself.
would say a pleasant misdirect.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to the writers here. I hope they did come up with something fresh, different, and exciting. And on to episode 4, I guess, Chris. On to episode 4 here.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so they're not going to do the big fight now. So I imagine they're going to have like these smaller interactions, or maybe we don't even see Bizarro a lot until the
Mm-hmm.
big fight.
All
But
right.
I'm excited to see where they're going with this because this is refreshing. We,
Mm.
Bizarro. I don't like in Smallville. Was he done this way, or was he just Clark with a different face, kind of thing?
Yeah, it was kind of like it was Welling, but like with a distorted face almost. Like they did like something where the sunlight reflects his face. He kind of turns into metal or something like that.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so this looks like a more traditional version then,
It looks
like
like
he'll
more
be.
traditional. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very curious where they're going to go with this, and I'm excited. I like it much more
Hmm.
than Doomsday because Doomsday, I think we all knew one way or another Clark was going to die,
Right. Yeah. So at
even
least
if they
this,
did
yeah,
something different,
yeah. And this way, like I said, you could see kind of Hecklin play off himself a little bit, which is cool. You know.
much like Paul Bettany did. in
He
WandaVision.
looks like White Vision. We still don't know what White Vision is, but no, okay.
He's around.
There you go. But Chris, on the episode 4, we go. We can't wait to break that down. Hopefully, we get more clarity of this big reveal that we've gotten
Mhm.
here. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the first few scenes that we get of it, for sure. And hopefully, we're on a really really cool, exciting storyline here. But Chris, before we get on out of here, closing thoughts on the episode and plug everything that you got going on.
Well, like I said, this is to me one of the best episodes I think we've got. It just has a great balance to it. There's a little bit of everything. You get some questions answered, some new questions, and it just flows really well. And that reveal is just, I love it. I really do. I thought it was very cool of them to do the misdirect. It was jarring though because I was expecting Doomsday to pop out of that suit, but I like this better. And also, we didn't mention it, but Steele's entrance to that fight,
That was cool.
phenomenal. That was some really cool thinking there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just really enjoyed this episode.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. And Chris, please plug everything that you got going on, good sir.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at that Chris Evans 0, or you can, or and I suppose you can follow the Twitter of the podcast and live stream I do with my buddy Emmett Davis over at G of the Geeks. We do a weekly live stream on Sundays.
Wonderful. Go do that because you are now legally obligated to do so because we both told you to do it. I'm just kidding. So obviously you guys can follow me on Twitter at Nick Zendik. It's just my name and it's on the screen right there. NickZednik. Please go follow Vigilante1939 on Twitter. Find us wherever else you get your podcast, both audio and live form, because we are on YouTube as well. And please give this YouTube channel a like, share, and subscribe. And when this video is done, drop a comment down below on what you thought of the episode, what you thought of us breaking down the episode. The more likes and comments, the better. The more that this episode pops up on the feed, and that would be much appreciated. So, but that's gonna about do it for this week's episode of The World's Finest. Can't wait to be back breaking down episode 4. But until next time, my name's Xenic for Chris Evans. As Michael Keaton's Batman always says, I want you to tell all your friends about me.